feel it, or if I believe it, the truth won't change. But if I can hear it, I know I can trust that you never fail. I just get so caught up in the lies, a precious barely hanging from the fire. So let your words remain in me as I remain in you, 'cause you're the only one that's true. Whether I feel it, or if I believe it, the truth won't change. But if I can hear it, I know I can trust that you never fail. What you say is fine, who you are is faithful. What you say is fine, who you are is faithful. And I just get so caught up in you. Your love is simple. Your love is kind. And I never have to wonder if I'm on your mind. Your love is simple, simple. Your love is kind. And I never have to wonder if I'm on your mind. You gave it all to save me, to make sure I'm safe. And I never have to worry, that you'll stop loving me. So unjustified, your heart for mine. You died so I could finally breathe. Nothing compares to your affection for me. Pieces I thought I'd lost, being restored, no longer named, but worldly things. Oh, you're speaking to my soul in a way I can finally understand. Oh, your love is simple, simple. Your love is kind. And I never have to wonder.
Your wife sent you, though. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thanks for being
Yeah,
here.
we really appreciate it. We're working hard to build some content so that people, it'd be a resource to people. And in some cases, you you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. We're trying to make people thirsty to access these resources.
Liz is totally down our alley right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
We kind of eased it a little bit, but then this week we kind of took it back. This week we were like, you know what? Like no more tablet and stuff during the week. It's all just the weekend.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like
It's
grade
definitely.
related. It was more just like you walk in her room and she's not saying hello. Like
Habits,
she's
yeah.
sitting there.
Maybe you can share that. Maybe people can share.
Yeah, you want
their-
to just come get you a seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't want that, huh? All right. All right. Okay, we got the thumbs up. I want to welcome everybody here in the room for Coffee with Mr. G and Miss Wilson, and also those who are watching online through our live stream. Today's topic is building a technology partnership, and we'll go into more details about that. Home, school, and we want to introduce a parent pledge, a commit to try, a commit to be part of culture shapers here on our campus, reinforcing similar values among our community of families. And before we get started, I just want to thank Camden Coffee. They're up there on Route 66, just catty corner from our preschool. And I'm telling you, this is not just because a former student, but the coffee's so good. I see people drinking it, of course, but it's wonderful. Thank you, Camden, for providing the coffee. We appreciate it. A couple quick announcements. As you probably know, you can't miss it with all the morning activities out there at Carline. This is our giving week. And so we had donuts yesterday. We got pretzels coming. We got coffee coming. We've got honk if you love FCS. A lot going on because our job is we're trying to make people aware of our project goals and what we hope to accomplish with campus improvements and program advancements. And so, but that awareness has to lead to action. So we want to encourage everybody to take that awareness and convert it into a donation. The projects we've listed, I think, are amazing, and those are listed on our giving page. That's give.foothillchristian.org, give.foothillchristian.org. There's QR codes around, and cards were sent home. And so, again, you're aware. Now, please, we appreciate if you could be generous and help us fund these projects. Do you have a project that you particularly like, Ms. Wilson?
Gosh, there's a lot to choose from, but I'm looking forward to the junior high seating area where kids can work in the hallway. And
Yeah.
they need a space to get their work done and working in groups out there, so it'll be fun to see them have that space.
Yeah. And there's something for everybody.
Yeah,
There's certain
yeah.
ones that appeal to the lower elementary,
Sure.
middle school, and then all school. But that particular one, I'm glad you mentioned that, because right now, when they go out to work on an iPad project or something, they're sitting on the floor or standing
Yeah.
around. So having some
Yeah.
some furniture up there will be great. And the choir risers doesn't seem
Yeah.
like a big one, but we have choir risers, and then it's like once you see something, you can't unsee it. When we realized at one point that, wow, those kids standing on that top platform level, they fall off. That's a big deal, and especially the younger kids. You got teachers back there kind of
Yeah.
making sure the kids don't fall off. So we getting some that have the railings, and so it will be much safer. So it's like we have to do it. We
Yeah,
had
yeah.
risers, but not really. They weren't safe. You couldn't just add rails to it. So I mean, there's so many good ones. Look
Yeah.
at those, and please get. Right now, we've got about $21,000. I mean, just yesterday we kicked it off, and so I don't think that's bad. And so 21,000 is a good start. It's not how well you start; it's how well you finish. So convert that awareness to action. We appreciate it so much. The other thing is I wanted to advertise the Dare to Dream theater performance this Friday night. Miss Robinson told me She said, this is a new Disney kind of musical. It's a mashup of songs from different musicals that Disney has done. It's brand new. And so this is kind of, I think it's not out there. People haven't seen it. So they don't always know what they're missing. But she told me that this may be the best production we've ever done, she's ever done. Now,
Wow.
yeah.
That's a big thing to say.
Right.
Yeah.
You see people go, oh, because coming from her, who they've done some amazing performances. So that's a great, I think, endorsement about that. So tickets are online. You pay for purchase each seat. There's not like you just walk in and take what's left over. So that helps people with time and everything. So Dare to Dream this Friday. Afterwards, we're going to have a dessert party. Some of that will be celebrating our giving, end of our giving week. And by the way, some people ask, no gala this year, Mr. G? Well, no dinner? Because those have usually been pretty fun and people look forward to them. But, we thought this year we wouldn't do the dinner. That way, 100% of the donations go to the projects.
Sure.
So you got to try things and see. So that's why we were working hard to create the awareness and that kind of thing. So the Dare to Dream followed by the after dessert party. So those are the announcements, okay? Appreciate that. All right, let's take it from the top. Today's topic, with Coffee with Mr. G, is building a technology partnership, and we want to talk about home and school technology, and we want to introduce a parent pledge that we think you're going to appreciate. We want to help today build a greater understanding of the technology impact on children. We want you to recognize you're not alone in your attempts to guard your child's digital space. You're not alone in this. Parents feel they're alone a lot of times. And like, well, my child's the only one without a phone. And they let you know that they're the only ones, but that's not true. But so you're not alone in that. And then we want to build upon a culture at FCS, Ms. Wilson, that is committed to similar values that we all share. So to get started, let's build a case for delay is the way. So
Yeah, awesome.
let's kick us off.
Yeah, well, we wanted to meet together because, we want to be really transparent with you, like what we're seeing. Like maybe there are some habits formed around technology that we all experience. I don't want to say just kids, because even as adults, we have kind of formed these habits, and really it's no one's fault. We're not pointing the blame at anyone except maybe those big tech companies. And so I want to be careful here, because as we begin and when we start, I want this to be a shame-free space, right? We want our culture to be shame-free, non-judgmental, because it's not easy, right? Not only is it not easy for kids, it's even hard for adults, right? And so we want to come, and I want to start there, Mr. G. But so we're going to kind of share what are we seeing, not only at school, what does research say as well? And right now what we're seeing is really half of American kids at the age of even preschool and beyond are online or technology about really almost all the time, right? In fact, and I'm going to kind of share this now, is, back in the day when technology first came out, people had to kind of opt in to participate in it. Now we have to intentionally opt out, right? Because it's just everywhere, right? And so we're seeing kids almost on it so much that they're really like out of the game of life, right?
And for me, a personal is that every once in a while you'll get a report on how much screen time you had. And I'm always shocked at what my phone tells me about my time. But I always justify it by saying, well, yeah, but I have it on for work and this and that. So I don't know that, but it's startling. And but here's the thing. Kids have those same numbers, if not more, and they're not using it for work, right? And it's not all about school. It's about just online time.
Yeah. And so I think we all can admit that, we've found ourselves doing some social media scrolling, right? YouTube binging, even online gaming, right? And time again, what research is showing is that these tech spaces are not just keeping us busy or forming maybe negative habits, but they're actually recalibrating our brains and reshaping our minds. And really, if we're going to take a Christian approach even, it's like, are we really seeing the vision of God's world through the lens that is helpful or appropriate or wise? And so we're seeing that reshape not just our culture, but our kids' brains.
Yeah, that's physiological, right? So it's not just emotional attachments and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So we're seeing this digital world actively forming who our children become, right? And I think when tech first came out, we didn't see the results of it, but now we're seeing the research.
Right.
And so it's like we almost have to put the genie back in the bottle, right?
Yeah. And parents are still the most important voice in a child's life, even in the digital space. But so much time online is basically becoming a teacher and a shaper of their ideas as well. Yeah. And that's often unfiltered.
Yeah. So let's start with what does that look like for elementary age, right? And then maybe we can talk about also what that looks like for middle school, right? So let's talk about that elementary age since we're in that space as a school. Right now, 40% of American 2-year-olds have their own iPad, right? And as parents, we might think, well, it's my iPad, I let them borrow it. But the kids think it's theirs, right? Mom, give me my iPad, give me my iPad, right? And it's really, we're seeing even an iPad almost, and I think we all have, it's hard. Parenting isn't easy, and it's convenient, right? And this iPad can become maybe a babysitter, maybe even a pacifier, Mr. G.
Modern-day pacifier.
Because think about it, when young toddlers or kids get upset in a restaurant or during a movie, in those spaces where you want them to be quiet, it's hard to not, be tempted to just give them that device. But what we're seeing is students coming into school and actually they're behind on emotional self-regulation.
That's a good point.
Because they haven't been trained to, when they're upset, working through that. They've been trained, hey, I'm upset, but now the option is an iPad. So they haven't regulated their emotions. It's a kind of a Band-Aid,
really
right?
Yeah,
right?
that's really good.
Yeah, so that's one way we're seeing that kind of play out in the younger grade levels at school. Not to mention, we're seeing students have these fragmented attention spans.
Right.
If we really think about it, even blue light research, just the research on a blue light on an iPad or an iPhone, that has some ramifications for our brain, right? But what we're seeing, there was actually in 2019, there was a study in Canada where they kind of did some research on iPads. And if preschoolers spent more than 2 hours a day on that iPad, what they were seeing is they were 8 times more likely to show criteria of ADHD. Now, I want to be careful and kind of clarify that. It does not mean iPads are the reason why it cause ADHD. But if they spend that much time on it, you see the same criteria or symptoms of ADHD. So you can only imagine those habits, now they come to school, they may not be ready to learn. Right?
The lack of the ability to focus and to focus for extended period of time. This kind of dates me a little bit, but I remember seeing in an educational journal, the principal was coming into the classroom and the teacher was teaching, but she had the frame of an old TV, and she's in there talking to the kids. The TV was on her desk, and the principal was like, what? And she's like, I find that they listen to me better like this. So it's kind of that thing where they get used to that iPad, and some other areas suffer.
Yeah, and even studies show right now that humans' attention spans are like a goldfish. It's like 8 seconds. and now it's actually we're seeing that decrease. And I think a big part of it is because we're so used to the quick fix of tech, or maybe the quick fix of Amazon. We're just used to kind of now this culture.
It's kind of like a pace of life. There's a pace of online. And earlier you were telling me about kind of like a 5-second rule or something. Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, well,
this is to the adults kind of as well.
I mean, we're all guilty of this. I'll be the first one to admit. Again, shame-free. When you are on the internet and you want to click on the next thing, if the website takes forever to load, you have that website has 5 seconds to load before someone jumps off and goes on to the next
I'm out.
thing. And
Yep.
so it's instead of the 5-second rule of dropping something, it's okay if you eat it. Now it's the 5-second rule of I'm moving on to the next thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then another thing we're seeing in elementary age, Mr. G, is, and this gets to the huge ramifications of just academics, right? Like, I'm taking out even the inappropriateness of tech at a young age. We're just talking about how does this affect the academic portion of the kids' brains. We're seeing a generation that now is no longer raised by good, rich stories. And here's what I mean by that. Starting at a young age, if they're just used to kind of scrolling or even moving from one YouTube short to the next, or even apps that gamify things, right? Then these short little circuits of activity, they're no longer a part of this longer storyline that builds with a climax and a rising action and a falling action, right? And so now when we ask them to come to school and read a book, or we ask them to participate in an activity, they're not, they don't want it. They're bored. They're bored. They don't want to read stories anymore.
Yeah.
And so I suggest to parents, like, if, you know, there's times where we're in this tech-saturated world, there's times where we're going to use tech, right? I would suggest and recommend watch a TV show together. Watch a movie. Those also have stories that they're telling. That's okay, right? Those types of tech are good, but it's those short, YouTube shorts or short circuits that really aren't developing that story narrative in students' brains.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, these aren't inappropriate sites. The
Right.
dangers of the internet, but that's not the topic today. But I will use it as an opportunity to say that we've created 4 Parent University mini courses. One is just about us. One is about technology at school, and that gets into the security, the safety, and not just tech at school, but some of those dangers. And then there's another one on tech at home. A lot of practical tips on the safety aspect. And each of those are about 7 to 8 minutes long, and we're going to roll those out. You'll have an opportunity to see those. And then the last one's on TFT. So those mini courses are designed to help parents stay informed of the resources we're providing, our efforts to connect our school community, and to build some common awareness. When you think about it, when you've got 70 new junior kindergartners and kindergartners every year, in 2 years, that's 140 new families who don't know our story.
Sure.
They don't know our journey. They don't know maybe our culture that we've learned together because we've been on this journey for a while. So those are there not only to inform the current families, but those who come in the years ahead.
Yeah.
So thanks
Yeah.
for that little pause.
Yeah, and so when we're talking about elementary, kind of back to that, it's, we're seeing a lot of academic ramifications, but we don't have even time to really go into the inappropriate content that is available to them without parental controls or monitoring that kids can dive into. I know a big thing at elementary age is also online gaming, right? And there could be good that comes out of that. At the same time, I want to caution, be really careful on those online, anytime someone's on the Wi-Fi or online in those games, be really cautious with elementary kid age. We're seeing platforms where kids are exposed to things too early.
Yeah, and predators out there.
Yeah.
I think we've all seen news stories about those kinds of things as well. And so let's move to middle school a little bit. So one of the things that the too much time online and absorbed with technology, it leads to lower academic scores. And it could be the fragmented attention, it could be a lot of things, but there is a connection to online time and lower academic scores, and also poor or interrupted sleep. If kids, the last thing they're doing is looking at their screen before they go to bed, well, all of the brain is stimulated and the dopamine hits and all of that makes it harder to go to sleep. And then there's the social dynamics that come about and pressure at school. Kids don't want to be excluded, right? They want to be more aware. And then when they go home in these chat rooms, which truthfully, I've never seen anything good come out of chat rooms again. And so there adds to this angst or some level of anxiety, and in many cases leads to depression. We see that in middle school. And again, we're not telling you anything you probably don't know. You've seen stories and you heard things. We're just telling you it's real, and we see it right here.
Can I add to that, Mr.
Sure.
G? I mean, one thing we see is the kids are with each other all day, and every relationship needs a break. When we go to the office or go to work, we're in relationship, and there's times where we need to go home and reset. When they're with each other all day, and then into the night through these chats, they don't have that opportunity to reset with one another. And then that one night you say, you're not allowed to go on tech. They're mad at you, right? That one night they don't, and because you know why? They feel the pressure constantly to always be on. They feel like they always need to be on. And so we can give them that gift of letting them reset each night. They're going to see them in the morning, right? So everybody needs that.
And most of us in the room here would say when we were kids, things would happen at school, but you got home, you had a refuge, you had a break. And now when kids go home, it can be amplified because now it's the chatter, right? And that just it's just nonstop. So, you know, being careful and monitoring and limiting those activities, huge gift to your kids. So sometimes with the devices and the apps, they really are designed to hook a person. I say a person because children for sure and adults for sure. We all have a level of addiction. But here, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think when we get into middle school, you know, as parents, we feel the pressure of maybe starting to let their kid have a smartphone and then social media, right, Mr. G? And we got to be careful because what he's saying is there's this hook, right? And really there are tech companies, tech leaders in the big tech Silicon Valley world, right? That they are intentionally using these devices, right, to have this dopamine hits, right? These or dopamine circuits, right? This motivation and even developing this insecurity among kids and adults and things like that. And they have the full knowledge. These researchers have the full knowledge of what, you know, negative effects it's having, and they just keep doing it anyway. So I kind of want to share a story about that. Back in 2017, Sean Parker, who is the former Facebook president, he was in an interview, and you know, and so they were asking him, you know, about Facebook, and it was really fascinating and not a good way what he was sharing with the outside world. And what he was saying is that these companies like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, they intentionally design the platform to be addictive. So they are publicly sharing with the world that they literally know that this is human kind of exploitation, if you will, of the psychology of the human brain. And they know that there are these dopamine circuits through likes and comments on social media that are making addictive, especially for young teenagers, especially teenage girls, to get back on that social media, get back on. So Mark Zuckerberg, Sean Parker, all these guys knew that this isn't going to be good, right, for kids or the outside world, but they did it anyway. And that's just shocking to me that they admitted to it, and yet they keep making it more addictive.
Let's pause there for a second because they knew what they were doing, and they did it anyway. Wow, that's pretty powerful. They exploiting us. And so my little thing was, I got off of Facebook a couple years ago. I didn't just delete the whole thing. Every once in a while I want to connect to, I don't know that person, how to get a hold of them, so I'll do something there. But I didn't have much problem leaving Facebook. But then I get to Instagram, and I'm just found myself on Instagram scrolling a lot, just what you're saying. And I said, I'm going to give this a break. So I just deleted the app. And because my reason, my motivation was I'm spending too much time just mindlessly scrolling. And I'd buy something once in a while. You see, I'll buy that. So that was part of it, right? That's part of the dopamine hit. So I deleted the app. And then I realized I had a low-grade addiction because it's like, oh, normally I would just go to Instagram and this kind of thing. And so I realized, what you're saying that happens with kids happens to adults too.
Yeah.
And
that's where we have to be careful. It's not the kid's fault. It's so easy to get upset at a kid when they've built habits and they're on social media for forever.
Right.
But they have to be able to land softly with us because I think we all recognize through this research that it's really not their fault. It's these tech companies that have made it purposely addictive. And so, And we also wanted to meet with parents today because we want you to know that we're through this, we'll get to the Parent Pledge and the Parent Pact that we kind of want to create, but through this, we're not saying no tech. Even at our school, there are transformative ways to use tech that can be helpful. We want the best Christians and the best tech spaces to be leaders, right, in those areas. So we want to have opportunities to equip them. So we're not even saying no tech, although for some kids that might be helpful. We have to, still be wise. Are they ready for it yet, But we are suggesting and highly recommending have a slow tech approach. Not a no tech, a slow tech, as slow as possible, letting the brain develop as God designed it to be. Right?
Because you can't put the genie back in the bottle, as you said before. And also, we have to help regulate the usage and not just monitor, but regulate kind of that. And you sometimes will ask the question of parents, you'll say, are these devices or are these apps and platforms, are they tools for my child to learn and advance this kind of thing? Or have they become the teacher of my child? That's a pretty important thing there too.
So the key today really is to we want you to understand how digital technology actually has effects, right? And so how do we engage with it accordingly, and how do we do it together in the context of a school and as a community with all different beliefs and backgrounds about not just life, but worldviews, but tech too, right? One thing, the reason why we're not saying, hey, completely rid it out. Now, there may be opportunity for that for some families. So, for me, for my kids right now, they don't have it, right? But one verse that always has helped me have good Christian discernment is in John 15, verses 15 through 17, right before Jesus is about to be crucified, he prays. And here's the prayer he prays to God, right? He says, God, don't take them out of the world, but help them be preserved in this world, right? In light of your truth. And so same thing here with tech. We're not necessarily saying take them out of the world completely, right? Unless it's really become an idol, we have to be careful there. But how do we preserve them in this world, pointing them to God's truth, right? So there's a balance of that. Even Jesus prayed that for his disciples before he was crucified, right?
So when we talk about the early years and all the different things that come with that and the middle school years, it makes me think, I've often said, your child, they only get one childhood. It's the one you give them. It's the one we give them. And
there are no do-overs, Mr. G, right? There's no do-overs.
Exactly. And so we want to get it right, as right as possible. And so, but typically we reference that the childhood, they only get one childhood. We usually reference that to family vacations and camping trips and traditions, and those are the childhood things that we are trying to promote and be about in our homes. But now we must also think about technology and how that might be shaping their childhood, even physiologically rewiring their brains. We have a responsibility for their childhood in that space also.
In that regard, And so we know, like, the addiction is real, right? Right? The rewiring of the brain is real, right? And then this altering of one's childhood is really real. So that's what you're getting to,
And that's a great summary to what we've been talking about. Wow.
And one phrase, I love this little phrase to just remember, that your child's future wellness or well-being is more important than their current happiness.
Okay, hang on a second. I heard that. But I think it's worth repeating if you don't mind, because that's powerful.
Yeah.
Because we're all faced with, if we're talking about slow tech or and those kinds of things, how do we pace our kids? How do we monitor? How do we guard? So say that again, please.
Yeah, so your child's future wellness or even well-being, right, is more important than their current happiness, right?
Right.
Which is not easy to do as a parent because the kids don't always get that, right?
Yeah, that's old school stuff where you say like, just believe me, trust me, you'll
because
thank me
I
for
said
it later,
so, right?
you know.
Yeah.
But you're right, because they're kids, they don't have all the judgment there.
Yeah.
So, but one of the things that kids are faced with, and you hear it probably as families, is FOMO. You probably heard that term, the fear of missing out. I had that with that Instagram thing where I was thinking, but I follow people and I'd like to see what they're doing. They always make such nice posts, and some of it's family, so you kind of feel the fear of missing out is real, and it's definitely real for the kids. But there's another word, and that's JOMO. That's the joy of missing out. And after my Instagram experiment, I'm starting to feel more joy of missing out. Like I don't need that. I'd rather fill it with something else. And so I think that's a part that we need to also remember is there. The freedom of being present, right? Often we're alone together. I'm sitting on the couch, okay, scrolling. My wife's sitting in the chair, scrolling. We're alone together. And that's not healthy. So the fear of missing out, the joy of missing out, and so I think there's a lot of freedom in that.
Yeah, and one thing we see is there's so much social comparison online, not just within their own friend groups in junior high, but the world. And this especially is affecting young teenage girls. There's just this constant comparison. We used to just say, like, I like my friend's shoes and I want one like her. But now we're comparing ourselves to the entire world, different ages, filters, right? We're comparing ourselves to filters. So we're not even comparing ourselves to even something that's real. And so this is messing with young girls' minds and boys too, but we just see it more among teenage girls. So this is like a little magic trick. I have it behind my back this whole time, so it's kind of funny this is coming out. But I want to...
this is your child's future well-being is more important than their current happiness.
Yeah,
okay?
so I brought this rope, Mr. G, because I kind of wanted to share this analogy because I think as parents, we kind of feel that pressure always hearing FOMO from our kids, right? We hear, if you have an elementary kid, maybe you don't hear it yet, or maybe you do. In elementary, we hear, well, everyone's on Roblox, right? And then in junior high, well, everyone has social media or a smartphone. Well, I wanted to bring this rope because this is a 100-foot rope, and so it's not very long. But if I did unravel it and put it throughout the room, it would be pretty long.
Circle the room.
Yeah.
Circle the room at least.
So I want you to imagine this rope let's imagine that it went on forever, eternity, right? Now let's imagine that this is a timeline of our existence. So this keeps going on forever. You kind of know where I'm kind of going with this, okay? Well, if you can see closely, I don't know if the camera can see, but maybe people in the room. If you look closely, I have a red part colored here. This red part, in comparison to the eternity of the rope, is really our time and existence on Earth. And if we think about that red part in light of eternity, this is such a small fragment, right, of our whole existence. Now, let's talk about FOMO, okay? In junior high, when kids feel FOMO, that's such a temporary stage in their life. I would say that's a speck on the red part of the rope, right? A small speck. It's so temporary. So yes, will they feel FOMO? Do we feel FOMO when we're not in those online spaces? We all do, of course. But it's such a temporary feeling as a junior higher. They have the whole span of eternity, right? And so as parents, we have to make decisions in light of all this, not in light of a speck, in a temporary perspective of, I have this FOMO mom, I have this FOMO dad. it's so temporary. We have to think more
Yeah.
kingdom perspective, more
Right.
eternal as we make decisions for our kids as
Right,
parents.
yeah.
And so there's more. We have to remind them too. They don't see the long
Yeah,
term like we
right,
do.
right.
They only, junior high feels like so much to them, but it's
Yeah.
really a speck.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
It's temporary.
that's so good. Thank you for sharing that. That puts it in perspective,
Yeah.
right, for us all. So we want to create a parent pledge or a parent pact. We think this can be a culture shaper for our school community. And so would you talk a little bit about that, Ms. Wilson?
Yeah. Well, this gets to the reason why we wanted to put this together, because we really, we're hearing from you, right? We're seeing kind of these academic ramifications. We're seeing what the research is saying. And we really feel like parents may feel stuck. And the reason why you might feel stuck is because your child is coming home comparing themselves to their friends, saying, but this person has this, and all my friends have a smartphone, and all my friends are on, this video game. And so as parents, we do feel that pressure of wanting to just give them the device because it's convenient, or because maybe we're making them temporarily happy and to fit in with their friends, because we're nervous, right? We want our kids to fit in. We don't want our kids to feel the emotional roller coaster of, missing out on something.
Right.
So it's hard.
But if that was the norm,
If that was
if
the
that
norm.
was the norm here at our school,
Yeah.
it would that part of it would be minimized
Exactly.
at least,
Yeah. So we really feel like the next step where we can support you as parents is to create this parent pact. And what I mean by that is from junior K to 8th grade, we would create this pledge, and we're thinking about sending it to you digitally, which I feel like that's kind of ironic. But we would send it to, and here's why we would send it. And on that pact or on that pledge, there would be some things that we all just commit to. And what some of those things would look like, Mr. G, is, hey, my kid's in kindergarten right now, but I'm going to sign this pledge, and this pledge says I'm going to wait until after they graduate 8th grade to ever get them a smartphone.
And that's not uncommon. We're starting to see more of that because people are starting to become aware of the things we've been sharing. But still, right now, I'd say the majority of middle schoolers have a
And
phone.
Mr. G, there's people from 18 to 24 years of age who are now wanting to leave those spaces because
That's right. They
they feel it too. So we, on that pledge, another part of that pledge would be, I'm going to delay my child ever being on social media until they get to high school. If and once they get to high school and graduate, that's up to you. But
Yes,
if we can commit and have a community of parents that all agree to that pledge, think about the cultural shift that will create, and less pressure not only for our kids but us as parents, that we can kind of work together to be on the same page, right?
So I know what our goal, and to me it seems very doable, but I also and small beginning, but I think powerful, and that is we want 10 families from every grade level to sign the pledge, just 10. And we picked 10 because there are some organizations out there like Protect Young Eyes and other organizations that are committed to this kind of concept. And if you get 10, there's a critical mass component,
Right.
And then there's other things that they would say is a good starting place to have that good leaven. It begins to spread. And if 10 families did, our idea, and I don't think we've kind of talked this all the way through, but the idea would be that families in those grade levels would know who those other families are. Now, we're not saying you got to set up play dates with those
Sure.
kids, which, by the way, there's dangers. You may have the protections,
Yeah,
but the kids are only as safe as their friend with the weakest digital security. They may not get it at your house, but they may get it somewhere else. And so the idea, 10, is good critical mass, and then people say, no, we're not alone in this. I think we can get more. I think we'll get more, especially in the younger grades, because they haven't committed to that phone yet, and like avoiding chat rooms and things like that. So 10.
Yeah, and through that, and that's why we kind of want the pledge to kind of be digital, right? So we can kind of take who those families are from each grade level, and we want to give you access to each other so that you can build each other up and encourage her. Hey,
Yeah.
we're going to do this together all the way until they graduate 8th grade. We're in this together. Stay committed, and kind of spurring one another on in that way. And so we really think we can help with that. And but Mr. G, we also recognize that there are some people that might have already given a smartphone,
Right.
maybe already given social media. We see that, right? There's still time to give it away, but at this, and that might be an option for some people to consider. But we're also thinking about creating almost like a parent renewal pledge. Like, I've already given them the smartphone.
Now what?
I've already given them the social media. Now what do I do with it?
Right.
And so there will be a different pledge for them. Now that they have it, can we pledge to monitoring those things, right? Putting parameters
Avoiding
on
certain
it.
platforms.
Maybe they don't take the phone to the bedroom at night. You know what I mean? So there's other pledges they can make to help guide their kid in that area.
Because boredom, isolation, darkness, late at night, and you've said before that the online activities for those that have the cell phones, these kinds of things should be more of a we activity, not a me activity. Where they're alone and isolated and often unguarded. So there's a pledge for those who say, hey, we're just starting out on this. We're committed to delay is the way and these other things. And then for those who have already given it, there's some suggestions and tips to say, okay, we're going to commit to this, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that would be helpful.
And if parents are feeling like you're on the fence about signing this, first of all, I'm more than welcome to sit down and talk and kind of help you through that. But we do have some book recommendations as you consider it. One is called The Anxious Generation. I'm not sure if people have read it. Now, it is a secular book. I want to say that there's some things he believes that maybe we don't on some things. But overall, you'll see the research. And you'll see, the negative effects tech is having on kids. And I highly suggest that book as a parent.
So that is, I know we have it in the notes for the people here, but for online, it's called The Anxious Generation.
Yeah.
Great book.
Another book, especially as we're Christians navigating this, is Digital Liturgies. So Digital Liturgies is another great book recommendation where, what is tech doing and how we're forming our beliefs, right? And how is that affecting us, as Christians as well. So I also highly recommend that book as well, especially if you're not sure about this pledge. We got to look at the research first, right? Before, and we're trying to share with you what we're seeing and hearing. And so we really recommend signing this pledge, doing this together. But then if we sign it, let's do it, right? Let's actually, stick to our word, right? Let our yes be yes, right?
I think it would help us with our resolve, resolve, knowing other people that are with us. So for this Christmas, that's probably somewhere after Thanksgiving, we'll be rolling out that parent pledge. But this Christmas, the gift of delay is the best gift you could give your child this Christmas. Not a smartphone, but the gift of innocence. When you give your child a smartphone, you say, here, honey, here's a smartphone. Now give me your innocence. It's that risky of a trade-off. But you give them the gift of innocence and time and a heart anchored in God, not the internet. And so there are other ways to stay connected without opening the door to the world like that.
Yeah.
And there are other viable options than just a smartphone. So put that purchase off. If you were thinking about doing that this year, put that purchase off till high school.
Yeah.
And so the gift we're asking is to put that purchase off till high school and then also sign that Parent Pact. Okay, and there'll be one for those who already issued one and those not. So I think our plea today is child only gets one childhood. Let's be responsible for them as parents. We're not their best friends. That comes later. But right now we need to be the parent in the room. So thank you for that. And we want to open it up to any questions or testimonies that you maybe say, hey, I tried this or I tried that. And when you ask the question, we'll repeat it so others can hear it and we'll go from there. So I'll just open the floor. If anybody has a comment or a question. Yes.
I have never given the kids a cell phone. We actually have a landline.
Yeah.
So if
Awesome.
do want to call their friends, they have to call.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only a few people that are on there: grandma, grandpa, uncles, and aunts.
Mm-hmm.
They
That's
can-
awesome.
Yeah.
Summarize
Yeah.
that.
One of these.
Yeah.
Summarize that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. In fact, though that is a total viable option, and that's what. And if you're online, what she was saying at home is her kids don't have cell phone access; they have a landline at home, and. Right now, that's kind of a trend that's beginning. In fact, there's companies out there right now that you don't even need the proper plugins for that. You can actually connect to Wi-Fi through that landline. So as long as you have Wi-Fi, you can have a landline. And that way, if kids want to talk on the phone with friends, and talking on the phone with friends are great communication skills that are so much better than texting, right? Which we didn't even get to that today.
Yeah, right.
But that is another component of where we're seeing communication fails from kids because they've never been trained to, and a landline gets to that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks
yeah,
for sharing
yeah,
that.
that's great. Great example. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking as far as like my daughter who's in 6th grade now, just turned 11 a few months ago. And we kind of like loosened the reins a little bit and
Sure.
allowed her to be on her tablet or a tablet in the house
Right.
more. But we noticed that it was kind of getting a little too much. And she has her friends here that she just talks with here at school.
Yeah.
At school that are on that tablet every,
Yeah.
or every night. But just recently in the last few weeks, we're kind of like, hey, we need to take it back where you only get to use this like on Friday or Saturday after school is done or your homework's done, because it was just getting a little too much. And it wasn't like her grades were getting worse or
Okay,
anything
yeah,
like that,
sure.
but it was just that when we walk in the room as parents, they're just like not paying attention. It's
Yeah.
like the hello is gone and stuff
Right.
like that. And that kind of was our sign that, hey, you know what, it's a little too much. Let's pull this back. And she didn't really like it in the
Yeah.
last
Sure.
week, but we're outside
there's-
playing ball and stuff now then over.
Yeah.
So he just shared a classic example of noticing his daughter was spending too much time.
Sure.
And they cut it back. And it wasn't easy, but they started doing some of those restrictions. Replace it with a game night. Those can be so fun, and it can actually build with relationships and those kinds of things. So that's great.
Yeah,
to do
thanks
that.
for
Because he
sharing that.
noticed that when they would walk into the room, sometimes there was not even a hello. And I used to think I was always listening. I'm scrolling, listening until my wife says, you didn't hear what I said, did it?" And I go, "Oh, I guess I did it. I thought I was, but I didn't." And I think we all can relate to
Yeah,
that.
of course. Yeah.
Others,
That's good.
questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr. Clark.
Just is there, based on where I work and stuff, there's lots of benefit to early exposure to technology
Sure.
and tablets and seeing how it's so much beneficial to
Yeah.
training. And then in college and in med school, they don't even buy books anymore.
Right, right.
All of it, and they don't, like the cadaver labs, they don't do
Yeah.
all tech. What benefits do you think for this age range, if any at all, would it be
Yeah.
tech?
Thanks for sharing that, just so online viewers can hear it too. In so many fields of work and spaces today, the medical field is one example that you shared. There's just so much tech, right? Everything's on there. They're not using books, and we see that too in education. And that's one reason why it gets back to the point where it's not necessarily a no tech space, it's a slow tech, and especially social media. It's never helpful in a young age, brain to have social media. So for sure that one delay, right? No one needs TikTok in the medical field, right, necessarily, right? And they'll have plenty of time. And here's the thing with these tech devices and apps and things like that, they're so user-friendly. Kids learn it so fast. And so, again, it gets back to the point where delaying can still be important. Even at our own school, we have tech that we provide for the kids, and we're really proud of what we offer, especially in our junior high one-to-one iPad program in those elective spaces, because you're getting to a great point where we still want to give them those opportunities to learn with our guidance and help them discern. and know how to do it, right? In our computer lab, the kids are learning typing, Microsoft Word, Google Drive, how to write an email, right? Those are all important life skills that the kids are getting here.
Yeah.
But that's where we have to look at tech, where we have to ask ourselves, is my kid using tech in a transformative way for those other benefits down the road, or is it a disruptive way? And at our school, we're trying to get to the transformative piece where it's in a safe, secure environment. We don't just give the kids free time on the iPad in the classroom. It's, we have an app design class, right? So we're using this notes to create this new app, and so it's transformative, right? And so that's where maybe ask that question at home: is this disruptive tech at home, or it gets back to what Mr. G was saying earlier? Is this a tool, or is it a teacher, right? Is it wasted time, or is it so think of using tech in a transformative way at home, especially if if you have goals or hopes and dreams for your child to get into the medical field, finding those apps and those things that might help support that instead of other apps available.
And we've got some augmented reality apps where the kids can dissect a frog on the iPad. Or they can look at the cross-section of a plant and see how all of those things work. A lot of good educational benefits. And so we have embraced innovation and technology, but we've also made sure we've got safety, security, we're intentional on it. Like for an AI. In fact, our next coffee with Mr. G will be after the holidays. We're going to do it on AI. Because people often want to know, what are you doing? And we're not ignoring AI, but a lot of AI is you have to be a certain age to access them. So we're going to do age-appropriate things. And if you want to see our AI policies, they are in the handbook online. And so a lot of those are just guidelines and policies. But and so we will use it and help kids learn so that they aren't just plagiarizing. They're using it useful and in helpful ways and in age-appropriate ways. So there's a place for it, but we have to guard that space carefully.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing, too? Because it was a great question. Sometimes we have to look at tech, too, where we have to think about that slowness of it, right, that delay, and when's the right time. Like, we would never give our kids keys to a car to drive and go really fast without teaching them the rules of the road first, or without teaching them, and if we don't do that first and we just let them drive, it's bound to be an accident, right? Yeah. Well, we have to look at tech the same way, where it is, before we just give them a smartphone or social media, if you will, there are parameters and plans we have to talk about first, and even discernment that the kids need to learn first. On TikTok, there's even now new AI social media platforms right now. Sora, I think, is one of them. They now have a ton of fake videos, right, that are generated by AI. And so our kids can't even discern what's real. We can't even, adults, discern what's real and fake, because they don't even have enough life experience to discern the real world. So when you put them in the digital world, it's like we forgot the training wheels, we forgot the rules of the road first before we handed them the keys to drive, right? So we just have to think through it that way, too.
That's good. That's good. Okay, well, watch for the email for the digital pledge, and so we'll share that, and I think what we want, some of our families, 10 at every grade level as a minimum, to say, let us be the ones to go first. Let us be the ones who hold the line here for our kids. And so I hope you'll be among those. So thank you for watching online. Thank you for being here today. We're here and we hang out. If you have any other questions, you want to talk to us, that's great, okay? Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.